Good afternoon, and hi. Welcome to the Houston Museum of African American Culture. My name is Christopher Blay. I'm the chief curator here at the museum, and we're here this afternoon on the occasion of the exhibition for the inaugural Bert Long Jr. Prize. We started this prize in April. And the way it works is that we have a group exhibition, and then from that group exhibition, we get together with two other artists and curators, and we talk about which work in that show really spoke to us and which artists in that show uh, should be put forward as the winner of the prize for that year. And since this is the first year, we did it in the spring, and then the prize winner gets a $3,000 cash prize, and they also get a solo exhibition here at the museum. So it is through that process that we were really happy to select David Stunts as the first person to win that prize that we just started this year. He was part of a show with eight other artists, and the work was phenomenal. It was not a very difficult decision to make. We wanted to honor the artist Bert Long, who was he was a Houston artist that was really instrumental in the lives of young artists coming up in Houston. And when he passed away, the way that we honored him here at the museum was to name one of the galleries after him and to support emerging visual artists. So that space is used exclusively for emerging Houston visual artists. So the person that we thought fit that mold the best for this round was David. And so the exhibition is up right now, and it's up through November 18. It's upstairs in Bert Long Jr. Gallery. And I'll invite you to take a moment to either go up there after the talk or go up there with David. But that's the introduction of the prize and the exhibition. But I want to talk, the reason that we're here today is to give David an opportunity to kind of introduce that work and kind of just give you an introduction to himself as an artist. And it was important for us to kind of leave it up to David to how he wanted to present that. And we're fortunate enough that he's here with Killa Kyleon, someone that he knows very well and someone who knows him. So my role here this afternoon is to just kind of ask a couple of lead questions and moderate a conversation between two artists that know each other and point to some of the works in the exhibition that David has. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to David to introduce Killa, and we can have a conversation.
Oh, interesting. So, as we all know, this one boy, we've been working for what? So, as we all know, y'all know this one boy, we kind of like Batman and Robin as far as, with this video thing and this creating thing. We've been doing it for a while. Like I said, if y'all watched my little triple entendre video, I kind of spoke on it a little bit. I was like, I felt like I was kind of moving around, till I got to a certain point. When I met him, it's kind of like it all just made sense. And I think that's when I became the artist that I was supposed to be, to kind of move us forward. And, I always give him his props, as far, I know this is about me, but if it's know him, it's know me. You get what I'm saying? So, but
Yeah,
I
it's good
think,
to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
It's good that you put that in context because Killa, one of your videos is you're featured heavily featured in that video, And that video is part of 6 pieces that David has up there. But there's something that you said in that, and all the videos are about 3 to 5 minutes long. And you posed a question in that conversation in the video where you said something about would you rather be at war with the world and at peace with yourself, or be at peace with the world and at war with yourself? You didn't answer that for us, but it was like a good lead question and a good lead into what you do. So can you talk a little bit about what you do and how you guys know each other?
Definitely, like in the rap world, it's very mental to perform at that level, at the highest level, like lyrically. Your mind is constantly going. Like a lot of people, like, you know, as you came up in the writing area, we started like with typewriters. My thought process almost like a Mac computer. Like it never stopped. And it's almost like the movie A Beautiful Mind, where you almost we really clinically insane the way we work, because it's like we do the same thing over and over trying to get the same result, but we end up getting different results. So we at war with ourselves constantly, because to be at the cusp of being creative, you gotta always be 1,000 steps ahead of what's going on, and we always sit back and we'll just look at the playing field and be like, this what they not doing, this what they doing. And in order to give people a different experience, rappers always had the DJ, but the DJ has been removed now. So the DJ now is the man with the camera. And so if I'm running this Jam Master Jay, that's really that's our relationship. This is one of my best friends. My circle is the size of a dime. We every time we create, we bounce off each other, and for a while, we get in spaces where it's hard to create. Where when you trying to look for inspiration from different ways, and then we just sit down, I'll be like, there's no need to even look for something to inspire us. All we gotta do is still be at war with ourselves. And don't even worry about peace. We at war with ourselves. I can't look at somebody else's work and be like, I'm gonna make something better than that. You lost right there.
It's never been that. It's always where he'll come and be like, well, hey man, I got an idea. And he'll just throw it in the air. And sometimes it'll take me a second to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
But once I catch it, now we in the same playing field. But we working outside of the norm. Like we not working on what we see. So, you know, people have to look for inspiration to create something. Like they look for an idea. We don't necessarily do that.
Never.
Yeah. It's
Like,
kind of like we just,
because you got to look at it like you your own competition. It's a competitive sport. That's what made people like Mike, made people like LeBron, made people like Brady. And I say that a lot. I compare what we do to sports a lot, simply because in order to be great, the competition, not the other man, you in battle with the person in the mirror creatively.
imagine having to wake up and put out your best work daily. We did this daily for years, for what, 4 or 5 years?
Longer than that.
Well, we would get up in the morning and the first person I would call is him and say, what we doing today? And he'll be like, whatever you want to do. And then we'll start playing with ideas, and before you know it, we putting something out to the world. Like we giving them a piece of artwork. And we had to do that, and the next day, that was old. We had to start over and do it again the next day.
Because you got to think, when you dealing with art and you dealing with music, everybody don't know it or not, whether you know it or not, everybody in the creative world and everybody that's viewing creativity got ADHD.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether you know it or not, it's like Denzel said, it's not even about giving people the information no more. It's about who can do it first.
It is.
And if you can do it first, who gonna do it the best if you gonna do it first? So that's why I always say, like, when we create, and when I've always created, I've always went into create a creative mode with a game plan. And so that's what we do. We come with a game plan and we just execute it. And we look at what we do and we be like, that shit cool, but we can do some shit way better than that.
And mind you, we were putting what we wanted. I want y'all to understand when I say that, like, we thought this through. Like, we came up with this picture.
Yeah.
We put this out. Like, it ain't have nothing to do with nothing else. Like,
So let me,
that was the whole one.
you mentioned Denzel, and it leads into one of the pieces, the piece that was part of that group exhibition was a short video that was being narrated by Denzel. So I have two questions for you. One, like, how do you match the sort of, that the narration with the video that you create or the video that you edit to create a unique thing?
So the thing is I had an idea. The idea was I've seen the intensity it takes for us to like stay focused to get to a certain point, meaning that you got to learn to work in chaos, meaning a lot of people can't work when the waters get choppy, but you got to learn to be comfortable there. So I knew that thing doesn't really get communicated. Like people don't really kind of get to hear that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
stay. And when I see like somebody like a boxer, like I know that level of intensity, I know what that feel like because me and him have been in that space
Constantly.
yeah, of being of everything is telegraphed. Nothing is by accident. Like so when I seen that, I knew that what I wanted to hear. So it was just all of it just coming together. The idea was already there. It was just waiting for it to kind of pop up so that I can grab it.
So I haven't seen the video. There's this a 3 minute snippet of a boxer in a gym working, and then you hear the voice of Denzel, and the overarching theme is this idea of falling forward, where it's like most people have a backup plan. It's like, I'm gonna fall back on this, I'm gonna kind of keep doing this and do that. But his like message was, if you fall forward, at least you see what you've fallen into, and it's kind of the motivation to keep going.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty. I gotta tap in on that because we got it. We have our own like we each other therapists when we creating to the point to where you gotta always think a lot of people always have a plan A, B, C, and D. And I tell people that's the most idiotic shit ever to have is A, B, C, and D because people only have a plan A, B, C, and D because they not confident in A. If you're not confident in A, you're gonna fall back on B, C, and D, and mentally, you gonna suppress your whole mind into you can't put all the focus on A because you not as confident in A as you are. I got something to fall back on B, C, and we not thinking like that. And a lot of people always like to be jacks of all trades, but nobody never masters nothing.
But remember too, we was doing it when it wasn't cool.
Yeah, when it wasn't cool.
We was doing it when people was turning their nose up at it. And we was doing it when it wasn't a crowd.
Never, but that's the beauty of it all when you create something. Cause look at where hip hop is now, and everything correlates simply because it's art.
Yeah.
To be able to sit and watch the creative process is almost like watching paint dry. You know what I mean? Like to sit up and think it take a whole lot to create like that, but with us, it take nothing because what we do in 24 hours, it'll take people weeks to do.
Yeah.
Like literally, we sit up and we watch people and we like, we did that shit in
16.
we sat down, we woke up in the morning and we say, this the record I'm gonna do. So basically what we did, I did a project, and I'm gonna arrogantly say it. I don't mean to be arrogant about it. I'm gonna say it. I did a project that's almost like when ESPN does a 30 for 30 on somebody. I said I'm gonna go 30 days straight, every day with a new idea, with a creative process and rap. We don't have a DJ. The DJ now is visual. This my DJ. So what we gonna do, we gonna give the idea vocally. So what we'll do is 7 days out the week. Being on social media, this before social media had the algorithm, we created our own algorithm. So we say, we gonna put the vocals, the audio out Monday. We gonna give you artwork Monday. We gonna put the artwork there. And it's not gonna be nothing. You gotta think deep on what it is, because when we put the picture out, the picture might don't go with the audio. But we internally know what we doing. So we put the picture out Monday. Tuesday, we hit you with the audio. Wednesday, we'll come with the visual picture of it. We had a visual snippet there. Thursday, we'll come with the audio, the picture, and the snippet. Friday, we'll drop the video. But in this whole process, we did all this shit in one day.
And we did it
Wrapped it, filmed it, edited it, and presented it in microwave seconds. Like, we did it that fast. To where we see other people give it to you so late, and we be like, that don't make sense to do, because you gotta think, Jordan will give you something every Saturday and niggas gonna line up.
Yeah.
But with music, people slow to create because they thought process don't work fast. That's a skill set in order to be able to present something, cook it, and give you the whole meal right then and now, versus somebody, we gonna put the audio out, but now we gotta go get a Hype Williams, or we gotta get that. Now we Hype Williams. We gonna figure it all out like a gumbo in that one day, and we gonna wake up the next day, boom, it's done.
You know what's crazy? It was like boot camp. We didn't know what we was doing. We was just creating. And when
Now we knew.
We did know, but we didn't know what we was gonna end up.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't know what we was gonna end up. That's the thing.
But we see people mimicking it though.
But then we stopped and looked back. We stopped and looked back. And sometimes you gotta look back. We never look back because we were so trying to fall forward. Like you said, we were so trying to get to the next idea, and it was always about getting the next idea out, no matter what it was.
And that's how you get stuck though.
Yeah, and if you notice, like I'm always putting something out now. If y'all notice, I stay on even if it's every other couple weeks, I gotta get it out.
Yeah.
Because if I don't get it out, I feel like.
So let me ask you this, and it's kind of a little bit of a pivot, because it's a good introduction to how both of you work together. And I've seen the productions. There are a couple of them in that room. One is the sort of focus on Killa, and then the other one is
Studio.
the what is the
Studio. We was in the studio.
That's when we created.
Yeah, the studio video, and then the other one was the trill.
Get a trip.
The trill video,
Yeah.
in which David kind of introduces us to the origins of the word trill, and like there's like a little overdub with
I
like
can take it and explain that to him.
so, but that is, I mean, you talk about putting something out every day, and you talk about like having to get it out. There are things in there that you also I mean, there are 3 videos, and it's part of a series, the Stay Woke series, where you're looking outside of just your collaborations, because it feels like you're focusing on what's happening in the community, and you're specifically focusing on, state violence against Black people. But you're using the same technique of some of the videos are found videos, and some of the videos you shot yourself. And then you're overdubbing with these icons like Ice-T in one, Karis one in the other, but it's all focused on what's happening on the streets, like when the killing of Alton Sterling and other flashpoints like Trayvon Martin. So I wanted you to talk briefly about like editing those videos, shooting some of those protest footage, and how it kind of plays into your whole, like the full spectrum of what you do as an artist?
So I like that question. That was a good question. So for one, we grew up in Black culture, like like un like like we grew up in Black culture. So it's a the way we communicate with each other, right? Like we all had these conversations amongst ourselves, right? All of us. I'm sure, and I see a lot of faces I done had these conversations with, and they're very personal conversations because we come from the same place. So we can have a like adulterated opinion, not adult, I'm probably using the wrong word, but we have a very honest opinion about certain things that happen in our community, right? And and that's a thing for me. You get what I'm saying? Like I think that that's a special place, and I think that when you look at the media and you look around, you kind of see people's versions of what we got going on, and it doesn't come out right. So when like I make those videos is like a place for me to like be able to merge the two so that your brain can understand what we're trying to say. Like when you look at the ones about state violence, like I think that they talk about like, you know, you got people with a stance like it shouldn't be any violence against police, but they forget to tell you that we've been fighting the police since the 1960s. Like the only time Black people ever rioted in the Black community was because we were fighting the police. You get what I'm saying? So when you look at the news, they just make it like it's just a bad thing. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Stop and look at this. No, like
Yeah.
we've always had to fight these people. And I put them videos out, about 2016, and they ended up going to World Star. You remember that? I think Derek was on then, but they ended up going to World Star, and I was like, well, yeah, y'all actually liked it because I didn't think that people were going to catch on.
Right.
But it ended up being like I learned that, okay, this is the thing. Like if I can, sometimes the visual and the words don't go together, but you can take the words out and put the words in that matches that visual so that you can get an idea.
And that's the whole purpose of when you create like that, because people don't catch it this way. So you got to add other elements for people to understand. That's what make, like I keep saying, the artist and the DJ so prevalent, because they get to show it to you in a way nobody else really can show it to you, because a lot of people don't understand hip hop always been messages.
Yeah.
And they remove the message now. The messages are removed. They don't want messengers anymore. And so we the ones that have to still be able to deliver that message that nobody is delivering. You look up now, there's no more KRS-Ones. There's no more pro-righteous teachers. It's no more none of that. So that's why you gotta, in that space, when you showing what's going on, they telling it to you this way. But it's the same shit still going on. It's just no messengers. So visually, you the visual messenger, and you gotta show that art side from where hip hop come, and it's delivering the message like this shit been going on. This shit ain't just start.
But we are that though.
Definitely.
And I have to always tell people like, me and him both come from like a long lineage of just Houston history, like from when we was young to all the way to being an adult. And sometimes, and people like, I think that they don't understand, like we was a part of the Black culture the entire time.
Yeah, 100%.
From the beginning.
And not even knowing that.
We didn't know.
You ever heard like a 6 degrees of separation?
Like
almost.
Regular life.
Everybody in here familiar with that?
Yeah.
With how six degrees of separation work. We literally was 5 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
In our entire life.
But
we was 5 minutes.
But in the
thick of everything. So basically, I'm gonna break it down to him a little bit more too. So every part of Houston hip hop culture from the beginning, we been in it. From the time I knew that this is what I wanted to do, everything that was instrumental in Houston hip hop, I was a part of it and not even knowing it. So from being that we both from the South Side and we both migrated to the North Side, And my mother being from Trinity Garden, my dad being from Dead End, by way of the East Side, by way of Fifth Ward. From the time that it started on the North Side, I was around Ice Water Slaughter and Trinity Garden Cartel. I walked down and watched Street Military create. I seen Willie D. I seen Scarface. But the most prevalent person that we both was intertwined with was Screw. Before I even rapped, Screw wanted me to start designing he was gonna add CDs and tape covers. So he wanted me to design the covers. So I used to I tag, I do graffiti, paint, do everything. That's another piece of me that a lot of people don't know. That's why I can create the way I create. So Screw used to take the pictures and put them over his turntables that I draw. I would draw them pictures and they'll have something going on in the tape and I just, let me draw a picture of it. And he started, I come over there, he'll have him over his turntable. He like, Killa, I wasn't even Killa at this point. I was just Kyle. But my tag name was KR Felon, and my cousin used to bother me about that because, you know, back then, graffiti was a felony.
It was a felony.
So I took my initials and named it that, but I did not rap because I thought it was trash the way they were rapping. That wasn't rapping to me at that point.
Well, you know, what's funny, it's funny you say that because like when it first started, I knew it was cool,
Yeah.
but I didn't think it was cool. But I thought the cause was cool, and I thought seeing our culture be, you know, walking the light that they supposed to be shown in, I knew that was cool. And I always said, you know, seeing them dudes, you know, they wearing all that jewelry and looking good and clean and smelling good, got the best cars, the best women. I was like, I like that.
We was watching.
Yeah, I like that, but I can't get with the rap thing. And it's funny because it's like we actually had personal relationships with people where we was ranking on each other.
Yeah.
And you know, and it was just but it's like the culture caught up with us.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
1000%.
Like I think we was like moving too fast, and then it didn't really catch up.
We still haven't caught up.
We just created our own little space.
But you know,
what I'm saying?
That space, and that's partially why you're in this space, but it's also like you're bringing along the culture and sharing it in a way that is unique to Houston, but also unique to what you do. And you're recognized for that, not only by your peers, but you know, by people in our community that pointed to you when we needed a national ambassador, when the light was shown on Houston, when Anthony Bourdain came through to Houston and was trying to get a good sense of what the Houston culture was. All eyes pointed in your direction, and you became a cultural ambassador for Houston. I don't know if most of you know that story, and it was something that I was just familiar with. But so I want to emphasize that although you're looking at it from this perspective, where it's like, you know, the culture is catching up to you, you guys are kind of in it, but also outside of it, doing it the way that intuitively you respond to, you're also being recognized as being part of it. And so I want to make sure that everyone here sees that. But then it's also, you know, things that you may not even be aware of because you're doing it on such a level, like you were saying, Killa. It's like you didn't necessarily know what you didn't know. You were just doing it in a way that you can do it right away with the whole gumbo, where someone else will take a week, 6 months trying to edit it down to the essence. But you're doing it in, I don't know if you're familiar with the artist Arthur Jaffa. He is a video artist and he does things, I would say, similar to the way you do it, but the way he presents his videos is like he takes these snippets from the internet, from YouTube, from different sources, and he like blends it with something else, like music, like snippets of conversations, and he's presenting our culture in that way. And the way you're doing it is similar, but it's from a very sort of like original place. So I just want you to talk a little bit about your process and how you kind of think about putting those two things together, the visual and the audio and the editing, because the editing part of it is pretty strong too.
I mean, you know, like, one thing about our culture is that I think us being able to like, we was able to exist in it, so we know what it felt like. We also was able to kind of have an idea where it needed to go because we was in it. You get what I'm saying? Like, we was actually with the people that was the men at the time, you know? So we got to a certain point, it's kind of like we knew where it needed to go. Like, it's like a plethora of real life information that we got from being in it, but also still being able to have a bird's eye view of it. You get what I'm saying? So it's easy for us to kind of like to put them two things together and for us to kind of create our own gumbo. Like, it's not like we need an example to be a Houston artist or cultural to our city. It's because we grew up in it. It's like second nature for us. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, I don't have to like, I don't need an example. I know it. I know what it's supposed to look like. So I just kind of wait for it to come together. It's more of a you're not gonna find it if you go looking for it. You just gotta kind of let it show up, you know.
And
So
being in the middle of it is easy for not easy, but that's how it shows up because
yeah,
you're on the ground.
That's what made, like, pretty much when you see it's been 50 years in the existence of hip hop, it was created from nothing. It was literally created from nothing but kids trying to find and get their ideas out, making their dreams reality pretty much. And when you look at hip hop back then versus now, and why, like I keep saying, all of this correlates because it's art, 100%. And it's created from a straight thought process. Nobody back then wanted to look the same. Nobody wanted to look the same. And if you look at art now, it's a Me Too type of era going on in the world. People that don't know how to really create, they bounce off somebody else's idea. I'm gonna look at what he doing and I'm gonna kind of do that same thing, but I'm gonna twist it. Being that we come from the beginning of the actual birth of hip hop. From here, from the standpoint here, we never wanted to be like what everybody else was doing. So we sit up and we think like, I don't want to, he got the jacket on, but I want to do my jacket like this. You know what I mean? I don't want to look like none of that. So we gonna do it like, so how can we defer ourselves from that? Yeah. The creative process gotta be quicker. We gotta give it to you quicker because in our mind, the faster you get it, nobody can give it to you fast and it look just as good. You wouldn't even know that it was created that fast. Mm-hmm. That's because when you come from nothing, you ain't got no other idea. We gonna get it done. We not finna even.
Well, also, we didn't have an example.
No example at all.
You can't forget that we didn't have nothing to look at.
It was just a blank canvas.
It was a blank canvas, and we woke up every day and did something.
Something different every time.
And I keep saying that, and I know it's hard for people to understand that, but that's not easy.
So when you work that,
the editing process, like people, I would see he's so. It's some cold people in the world, but I can just tell him. I don't even have to. It's like when you producing, and you sitting there like one of my other producers in the back. We have an actual team. It's a team of us, and we sit down. Each one of us in chaos operate exactly the same.
Everybody's a master
at their craft. So it's like I can tell him, you know what, bro? I see it like this, and this how I see it. He'll just give me a few minutes.
Yeah.
He'll call me back like an hour later. I got it, bro. So we'll come together and be like, well, this. that man to lift that computer up. I've never seen nobody edit that fast. Like literally, how I can rap it, he can edit it. And it's all there. But it's almost like ghetto Scorsese. Like he that dope. It's just, it go without words. And to be able to be that dope and do something that fast, that's amazing.
So let me ask you this, because you're working, so fast, because that's how it comes to you and that's how you get it out. I want to understand, like, in your editing process and in your like creative process, you have to have, for every video that we see, there's probably another hour or 2 hours that we haven't seen. And if you extrapolate that over time, you must have like a vault of material that we haven't seen. So how do you look at your process from that perspective? Like, do you feel like stepping back to revisit those images, or is your trajectory just like constantly moving forward?
My trajectory is moving forward.
Okay.
I think that I'll give it, some of that stuff may not never come out. A lot of it probably will come out, but it's gotta come out to where it makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna just put it out and just let it be all over the place. Like, if me and him get together and we wanna put something out, it's gotta make sense. Like, it's not, that was done. Like, what was done is done. Like, it's like, I wanna see what's over here.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Like, I think that's more exciting.
Yeah. And you just asked my question. It's like, where are you gonna be? And I know, you guys don't think in terms of like plan A, B, C, and D, but when you look at what you're thinking about, presently, and you look at your like work process, can you visualize a place like a year, 2 years from now, and what that looks like?
Definitely. That's the thing about when you're not trying to mimic nothing else that's going on. Because if you look at art and how art created right now, everybody's mimicking something because the lack of creativity. Nobody is really as creative as the past because technology has made people be lazy to creating. It's almost like looking at how AI, you can just tell AI something and it'll make it.
Sweet.
And with what we do, we created it. So we'll create something and probably don't even give it to the world. Yeah. And we'll have something just sitting, like we have visuals and we have the audio of stuff that we do, and it just don't feel right at that time because he actually did take a break. Yeah. We had made so much, we had did so much in such a little time that our brains were so out of that where he literally took a step back because he got so wrapped up into the work. Life started lifing.
Yeah. Sometimes you can do, like, how when you're driving at night and you get tired and just kind of get into a zone where everything flatten out and you can't really focus. It got there. And I knew I needed to like get away and go look at something different.
Even with this, like, we did Menace. We got the Menace stuff, and everybody asked us about when y'all gonna go to this. It's like we made it, so we ain't gotta really give it to them like this here because we got this, and this, and it's like now we can revisit shit and go re-pick it back up, and it's gonna be brand new to the world. It's old to us, and we like, damn, how we gonna re-put this out?
Yeah, that was essentially where my question was.
Yeah, don't forget it's trajectory. It's always trajectory with it. We never know where we're going. We never have a plan, like literally. Like we'll know what we're trying to get. We'll have a spot and we'll be like, hey man, this is what we're gonna do. And then we'll just start working that way, and usually it'll all kind of just start weaving and making sense. Yeah. You just cut the fat off. And then by the time y'all get it, it was probably an idea that we had 7 months ago, but we put out so much stuff in between. Y'all didn't even know we had been working on that the whole entire time. You get what I'm saying? Because it's just, it's just constant because we
And that's and what make it stagnant for us to be able to get stagnant at times because we're 1,000 miles ahead of everybody else that we even trying to work with. They moving slow. And it's like, damn, we got it all together.
You know what? I mean, that's a good point.
That's the truth. Like we so far this way, and everybody else that we sitting around and we working with, it's like, this what we gonna do. Da 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 da. And
they can't see.
They can't see it, so they be stagnant. They stuck, and we like, this.
So it's like we'll sit it on the table and be like, hey, this is what we need to do, right? And they'll look at it and be like, nah, that ain't it, right? And then it'll get to the point, we'll do it, it'll work, and then they'll be like, oh, we were supposed to do it, and we'll be like,
That's what we're trying to tell you.
Not only that, they'll see somebody else do it. Because the thing about ideas work, if they see somebody else do it,
yeah,
it ain't what we doing that's the problem. It's us doing it. So at the end of the day, they can see somebody else doing what we doing, and they gonna champion that.
Right.
And we like, bro, we told y'all about that 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's the saying is sometimes the prophet is never appreciated in his own hometown, where it's like, you could go out and preach and everyone will give you props for what you're saying, but if you try that same language and that same conversation on your front steps, they're like, man, we know you, and that doesn't.
Yeah, it take others to appreciate shit that it's right there in your face and you don't appreciate it. And it's almost like everything now, you damn near gotta die for your work to be appreciated. Or you gotta be in confinement for your work to be appreciated. And it's like we was around literally everybody that you can think of. Nipsey, we was around Nipsey. We was instrumental when Nipsey, Kendrick, we was around all this to the point to where we seeing Nipsey create and we creating on the same level, but they didn't appreciate nothing Nipsey did until he died. Once he died, it's like, man, that boy work was so cold and this work was this. But you wasn't even fucking with him when he was living. You know what I mean? It took him to die for you to appreciate it.
But we seen the genius in the moment. It's just sometimes the world don't catch up with it. And I think that him being a creative like us, I think we just appreciate it better. We know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what it feel like. We know it before we get there.
Yeah.
Like,
which is a really good point to go back to your exhibition upstairs. And the reason that we created this prize is for artists like you. And that's a perfect quote. We know it before it gets there. I feel like for you, it's already there. And some of the folks here in the audience might be really familiar with your work, but we as a museum, as we grow our audience and as we go further into the community, we like to champion the things that we see as already working. Like, you're essentially doing us a favor by being generous enough of your time to be here in the museum with us. It's not the other way around. So I want to extend that generosity while we're here by opening it up to questions from the audience. But before we do that, is there something that we haven't covered that you were thinking about as you came in here today? Or maybe it'll come up in the questions that are being asked.
I got something for him.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I got something for him. Being from watching, and I don't know who's all in the audience that's Houstonians or not Houstonians, but seeing where the culture is now versus then when it was so much appreciated, to whereas now, being that you're a Houstonian, you either used to it or don't understand the significance of how important the culture is. It always takes Houstonians to see somebody else doing it. Oh, that's some Houston shit. That's some Houston shit. But you don't appreciate it when it's right there, like literally in your face, you have access to it, and to see it come from this and to come to this, and it's so much left out that y'all don't see and don't know how important Houston is culturally in hip hop, in art, because it's really, we are our own culture. You look at New York, they have their own culture. You can see somebody from New York and you know they from New York, but they have significant things about New York that pinpoint you to New York. You go to LA, LA has its own culture, like it's its own world. You see the six folds, you see the gang culture, you see the different ethnicities and how you know that's an LA person. You can go to the Bay. You come to Houston, we have our own complete culture.
Let me add to that. What else I want y'all to understand is that Houston is the only black American homegrown culture that hasn't been influenced by outside culture
At all.
in the United States. Like that exists. And I think that we don't appreciate it because we hear it. But I always try to tell us, I say, man, when you go to LA, that's a Hispanic. It was Hispanic culture. If you look at the Six Folds, when you go to Florida, it's a Caribbean culture. When you go to New York, it's the mafia culture. When you go to any other place, they were influenced by outside influence. Houston, Texas, not Dallas. Houston, Texas. We are, yeah, I had to say that because
Hey man,
I think y'all need,
Dallas. So.
but I think y'all need to, like, I think that now when you look at, like, when you see our culture out here, you'll appreciate it more because you know we created that. It's black culture. Don't let them make it drug culture. It's not drug
It's
culture.
not drug
It's
culture at
our
all.
culture. Like, and you know, like it's a story that I always tell. When I was younger, man, we was in Gulfgate Mall. Y'all remember Gulfgate? Yeah, when it was inside. And I was a little boy, man. I must have been about 7 or 8 years old. But you know, Gupgate was where all the fly guys used to go.
Everybody fly.
So everybody had the big jewelry on and the Louis Vuitton. And I remember my mom used to take me to I used to just love going to the mall to see these black people looking good. You know, I'm like, damn, it's dope. I didn't even know what I was looking at, you know? So I remember seeing Smitty. Man, he had on a red silk. I never forget this. He had on a red silk, whole silk outfit. They used to sell a silk outfit in Georgia.
They used to sell, they sold it. When you went to King's, you either went to King's or you went to the flea market, and they'll have the silk shirt, 100% silk, and they'll have the 100% silk pants, and it be silk, and you sweat too damn hard, it's gonna look like you got on a raincoat.
But he had on all his jewelry. He was clean. Man, he had, I think Pepper was with him.
Yeah.
When he was talking to that chick from Salt and Pepper. And I seen him, man. I didn't even know this man. I didn't know what he did. I just was like, man, whoever this black dude is, he live. I want to be like him. You know, this is, but as we got older, they changed that concept of us looking like that into a drug culture. And I was able to kind of not let that influence me. You know what I mean? And I always championed like being able to be immersed in our culture, even when it wasn't cool. You know, even when they thought everybody that drove a slab was a drug dealer. Or they thought, no, that's just our culture.
But I need them to understand the significance of what he's saying for as we are our own culture in the city to where everything was art in motion. And I don't think a lot of people realize, they always thought when you look at Houston, it's two, three different worlds. You come to the north side, there's people on the north that the George R. Brown is the divide for everybody. You know what I mean? So it's like when you pass Third Ward and you come past the George R. Brown, everything culturally looks different. When you come to the south side, it's way different. And to be able to, both of us going to school, and this was my creative process. My grandmother's house was the hub for Screwed Up Click. It was literally the hub, but it wasn't rappers at first. It was street niggas. It was straight hustlers. And Screw was just a DJ that took the madness going on and made it into something. They started just making regular tapes. And so the hustlers end up discovering, well, shit, we got rappers around here. So individually, rappers start coming. Now imagine I see this during the week. Beginning of school, I gotta go to the north side. I'm seeing ghetto boys. I get to naturally see them. I'm with them, talking to them. I see Street Military. I see Trinity Guard Cartel. I see Big Loves. I seen this shit all formulating. And I'm saying to myself, this shit not jamming to me.
Yeah.
I'm so far looking at what's going on in New York and looking at the level that they performing on, and they think we not performing on that same level, and we performing artistically on that same level. We just here.
Well, our culture had came here.
And that's what I'm giving them up to speed on when it started creating. You could see ghetto boys talking about everything. The way I was even taught how to even write, it's like I gotta really write a book on this shit, because to watch all this shit form, Fat Pat and Hawk come to my grandmother's house every day. If they ain't eating, we in the garage smoking, and we talking about rap, we talking about creating. And I'm not knowing to the average person, like, boy, you with who? You seen what? I'm like, you talking about Pat? Them niggas they ain't shit. We around this. Who you talking about, Screw? To even know when you come to Screw house, when he done creating, if you don't see the burglar bar open, ain't no tapes yet. But once that burglar bar open, to watch a line of cars, bruh, come purchase these tapes, this shit is crazy to see a man create. And the way this man created, he grew up in the apartments right next to him. And what I'm showing y'all is we this close to each other the whole time, not knowing that we this close to each other, and we creating. We coming into our own.
We seen it, yeah. Like remember I had said something, I think we was in that last exhibit, you had asked a question. And I was saying that I didn't know, my first time seeing the slab was coming to Schoolhouse when he stayed around the corner from me. And we was so infatuated with the cars because we was 13, 14 years old. You know, we would hear the cars come in the parking lot and we automatically knew that everybody was meeting at Schoolhouse. So boom, we was on our way over there. You get what I'm saying? Because we was just infatuated with that. Yeah. You know, we little kids at the time, but I'm not knowing that the culture I'm growing with the culture.
With the culture.
Like this is a very, very, very infant beginning before they was even coming over there rapping.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They didn't come start rapping till the late 90s. This is like 93. Yeah. 94. You get what I'm saying? The dude was doing homecoming dances and DJing and Boomerang.
Yeah.
And we used to tell him to shout our name out on the mic on Friday. Hey man, I'm coming. You gonna shout me out? Man, I got you, Dave. Come on through. You know, but it was that. I think that's the blessing. I think that that's why we can be so autonomous in how we work. Yeah. And I think that's what we was end up trying to get, because it's so easy for us, because we seen everything. There's nothing nobody can tell us about this.
And I want to leave it there, if I may, just to give these folks an opportunity to continue. No, that's fine. Just to continue the conversation more by asking questions. But before we open it up, I just want to say, please join me in congratulating David and inviting Killa to come in on the stage with us. So, round of applause. Thank you. So I'm gonna pass this mic around. It's not for like PA, but it's for really picking up the questions for the recording that we're doing. So if anyone has a question, I'll just pass this mic.
I'm glad that y'all found each other, because when I listen to you in terms of, I think about the culture, right? The culture is the masses. And then there's people that are creative, which is kind of ahead of the culture. And then the way you describe it in terms of being hyper creative. So you're ahead of the creatives. So I would imagine that to have influence over the culture, but to have to be so far removed from it because you're so far ahead that it could feel isolated or lonely. That's so like that's a deal with the loneliness or the isolation.
I got shot my boy out back there. We had this conversation the other day, and he was saying, man, listen, when I got it. What's it called? He was saying, man, he said, man, in this world, this a lonely world. Remember that? Yeah. He said, man, this a lonely world, and I thought about it. And he right, because you can't really worry about who messed with you and who not. You can't really worry about who get it and who don't. You just got to keep charging forward. You know, like it get lonely. Sometimes you try to force people in there, but they just
It messes up relationships.
It do.
It messes up because people are damn that don't understand everything coming from here, from nothing. So when other shit disturb your peace while you trying to create, it's like, and to create at that level, it damn sure do get lonely, but it's crazy with us because we have to go somewhere chaotic to think.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be in the midst of chaos. And it's like when we going through the worst of the worst, we make the best shit. We make the best shit.
I gotta give him them.
As a creative, I wanted to know if y'all ever reached a burnout stage and what did y'all do to continue moving through that burnout stage?
I left.
Yeah.
I just got up and left. Dropped everything, got rid of everything, and just left. Went to a whole nother state. And what's crazy is when I went to that state, I didn't know a soul. I was there by myself. And I had to be me. And I hadn't had to be that person in a long time because I was so used to being that artist. You know what I mean? And to go somewhere and you don't know me at all, now I gotta reintroduce myself. Now I'm nude, naked. You seeing me for me. You get what I'm saying? And it kind of made me look at things differently, like being there and not being acknowledged. I was like, okay, I was in a box. You get what I'm saying? Now it's time.
You took 4 years off.
I took 4 years off. No, I took 4 dead years, didn't touch nothing.
I hated it.
Yeah.
But because I'm gonna tell you why I hate it, I gotta say it. It's like we so loyal to each other on creating. I would try to go do the same shit we do with other people, and it felt like I was cheating on my gal when I did. You know what I mean? Pause. And it's like pause, but that's the feeling. You know what I mean? I'd be like, nigga, what is you doing? Like, nigga, what is you doing? Like, we gotta do this. And he like, bro, I ain't feeling it, bro. I just don't feel it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it was a window there. Well, Marco was there. Like, it's a few people that's been here that was there the entire time. Like, Marco was definitely one of them. If I'm missing somebody, but it was a golden era for us. You remember that golden era? And then once it's like we peaked out at that golden era, like it's kind of like it was an influx of this new thing that happened and we didn't really know what to do. 1 million cameras showed up. You remember that? And it was like, I was like, what is this? Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. It's like peeing in the ocean. You're not going here. I didn't mean to use that as an example. But
that's a perfect example.
But you get. So I had to kind of regroup and see where this thing was headed.
And the thing was, while you was doing it, I was still going that way. Mm-hmm. But my thing was, me going that way, I started seeing others that was doing shit we were doing 6, 7 years ago. They just not getting it.
And it was too late at that point.
And the thing was, it's too late for that. And they still didn't understand it because they was trying to mimic some shit to where, like I said, we did a project 30 days straight. We created something different 2 times.
We did it twice.
We gave you the audio and we gave you the visual. And the thing was, within that space of him being missing, I still did work, but I didn't do the work like we do the work.
Yeah.
And once he came back to do the work, it's like we getting back to where we was at.
Yeah.
It's just taking time because before we even start to create, we gotta navigate the playing field and to see what's gonna work and what's not gonna work.
Let's skip that.
I'm sorry.
Ask this question. I'm sure it's along the same lines.
It sort of is. So I'm originally from the West Coast. I was introduced to the culture in the 90s at PV, and it was just, wonderful and amazing. And I was there for a lot of the things, but I've always wondered the time period just a little bit before and some of the more groups that nobody talks about, like Royal Flush. Do you have any historical conversations around those types of groups?
100%.
Well, for me, that was before my time. Yeah, I was young. Like, I think I heard about them, but man, I'm gonna be real with y'all. The Ghetto Boys was kind of like our little street military was kind of like our thing, and then Screw showed up and the world changed.
I can pretty much point in on that being that this, the moment I watched Chris Thomas on Rap City, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And growing up in the culture and seeing it's a lot of more artists, like you were saying, that a lot of people not familiar with, that it's deeply rooted. Like 3-2. A lot of y'all don't know that's who gave Snoop on the West Coast. That's who gave Death Row all they lingo. H-Town dudes.
They was helping them right now.
Devin the dude. That's when they had R Squad. It was Devin, 3-2, and Big Mike. They went out there to help them create, because at that time, Dre was trying to sign them. A lot of people don't know that. Dre was trying to sign them. So when you hear Snoop with that bitch and all that come from 3-2.
Yeah.
When you hear different lingos and the way they rap, that came from 3-2 and Big Mike. A lot of that. So yeah, Houston been so instrumental in the culture for so long. And then you gotta think about it. All of the greatest rappers of our time now, who they favorite rapper? Scarface or Houstonian. You know what I mean? They had Ghetto Boys, they had Street Military, they had Criminal Element, they had you had Raheem, you had South Park Coalition. You had South Park Coalition. The list can go on. A lot of people like to think that Houston culture is Pimp C, Bun B, and Screw. That ain't where the culture stopped. That is not even the surface of it. That's just what people took to, and that was popular at the time, and they took to it. You had Grit Boys. Yeah. You had so many people instrumental within inside this. A lot of people don't know. My introduction was through a group called Mob Style. That was Pokey Group. It was me, Big Pokey, Chris Ward. Chris Ward was introduced in dealing with Slim Thug. Slim was like, I want to form a North Side, South Side supergroup. Chris Ward introduced me to Slim. My name, Kyleon, comes from Screwed Up Clique. My uncle is over Dead End Records. That's Ron G. That was Fat Pat, Hawk, KK, Mike D, and Pokey gave me the name Kyleon. Slim gave me the name Killa. So it was within that school up in there. So we had groups within this shit going on. And I can say it, we tougher than all of them.
That I love was Body.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Accidental rappers. That's what a lot of people don't know. They were accidental rappers. They were street cats that create. Everybody that come from out of there collectively was from the streets. And that's the beauty of art. It came from nothing and they turned into rappers accidentally.
Well, it was us. It was us creating our culture.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We can't forget that little piece. Yeah, I think we forget that.
I have two questions. One for Dave. What would you consider your why? At the end of the day, would it be money, success, or impact? And for Killa, at the end of the day for you, if it was over as 10 years from now, if you look back on it, what would you look back at and visualize to say, I accomplished what I wanted. I made this was my dream. This is the pinnacle. I did it.
You want to answer yours first?
My why was I just wanted to just be a part of our culture. I thought it was special. And I still do think it's special. It was just seeing these guys create, it's like in the beginning I didn't know, but once I started watching it become what it became, that was my why. I thought this was important. This is a big deal. This is where I'm from. Like this is when I wear this hat. This is what I represent. I want to be a part of that. Like
more legacy.
it's more legacy. Yeah, I want to be a part. It was never really about money. It's still yeah. If it was about money, I'd have quit a long time ago.
And so, Killa, like, what was your, like, when you look back, as she's asking, like, if you look back 10 years from now and you can reflect on what the thing was that you wanted to accomplish that you have accomplished. If I get that right? Yeah.
I wanted to be able to walk in a room with the greatest people that do it, and they knew who I was. Off me being great, they telling me I'm great. If I gotta answer that question, the greatest rapper I ever thought was the greatest rapper to me was Brad at that point. And Brad, I told him he the GOAT. He said, nah, you the baby GOAT. You the GOAT too. And I took that. I got around Hove. Hove knew who I was. I got around Nas. Nas knew who I was. Two of my real close friends are some of the greatest rappers alive, Jadakiss and Fab. They knew me through what it is I do. Like all of the people in my top 10 know who I am and know my skill set, and they put me up there with them. I didn't ask for that. I work continuously to be the best at what I do. Yeah, I think anytime that you good at anything and you consistently do something over and over and over, you're gonna eventually master your craft and the money gonna come. I just wanted to be the greatest at what I do. That's all I wanted to do. And I think I'm still haven't scratched that itch.
Trying to figure about money. We've been quit.
Yeah, we'd have quit a long time ago. But the thing is, the beauty that I can say, everything I own and possess, rap did it. I can honestly say, like, I had to do certain things in order to, the process of me creating, like, studio time used to be 200 an hour. So what I used to sit and do was homework. If I couldn't afford to do this, I had my uncle that he gonna be there, man. You gonna be there, you gonna get there. I say, well, shit, if it's 200 an hour, I gotta go in there and make 5 records
In 1 hour.
in 1 hour. I mastered making whole songs to where I would go in the studio every day and I make 5 records every day. Tupac had this same, I got the form, I stole it from Tupac.
But but it's just they gotta be.
Now I'm telling them, that's well when I'm breaking it down. Like it went from $200 an hour. We used to go, where that was? We used to go on Chimney Rock. We'll go to Digital Sounds on Chimney Rock. That shit was the dopest, but that shit cost the bankroll.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go in there within that hour, I would blow their mind. I sit in there with Pokey, it'll take Pokey 9 hours to come up with one verse. And Pokey like, nigga, you just did what? Yeah, nigga, I went in there and did 5 records. And I'm finna make my dollar stretch, and to the point that paying for that studio time and then actually building the studio and we sitting in there ourselves, my mind's still working like I'm paying $200 an hour. So I gotta go in there and create fast and in abundance. And that's what we got the skill set from. If we can't afford to do this in this amount of time, we gonna take that window and we gonna create that fast. So we get more bang for our buck.
Yeah, I gotta be there though. It's a beautiful thing.
Man, first of all, I appreciate those flowers you gave me earlier. I always like the dynamic between y'all both from jump, even when I was first introduced to David or just seeing him around, right? And you already just said like how your favorite artists know who you are now. I was gonna say that, like when in these other areas, they look at us just like we look at them, right?
Yeah.
And when you at home, you don't get that appreciation that same way. But that's how it always been for a long time.
Yeah.
And, coming from the CD era, we really had to walk up on the person and sell them our music versus like go listen to it. Do you think like these artists like 20, like you been 20 years, I've been 20 years, right? And you at the highest of your game, you really the best ever come through it. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that, bro.
So, do you think 20 years from now, how they didn't really have to put the work we put in? Do you think we still gonna make those kind of artists? Of course we are, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I think
that shit was different. Feel what I'm
I
saying?
mean, the lack of creativity now
Yeah.
is way more different than what it was. The way things are now is far way more different than then because you appreciated it because what it took to create it, it was a process. Technology is minimizing the process on being creative. You know what I mean? So you got people that's doing dumb shit and everybody think it's so creative and that shit is not creative at all versus you coming from back then and actually seeing talent, skill, putting words together. And like I say, it's important why our dynamic come in is, like I say, the DJ was removed. It ain't no me without him, and it ain't no him without me. And that was our whole relationship. Like, I'm gonna show you, like, we gonna be, it's relationships like this in music you still see to this day. Like, when you seen Timberland, you seen Missy. When you seen Snoop, you seen Dre. This Snoop, we snooping and Dreing, we Jam Master Jay and Run. Like, he, the visual, I'm gonna say, this what I wanna see, Dave. And we'll look at them and we'll laugh because the whole time we competing. We really competing. We compete with ourselves and we'll sit back and laugh and be like, they're gonna take forever to do that shit. We finna go look in the mirror at our damn self and we finna go against each other and be like, we gonna make that shit in 24 hours.
I'm gonna tell you.
Not a record with Wiz Khalifa, bro.
Oh yeah.
Still in?
Cushion orange juice. Yeah. You know what's funny is when you just I heard what you just said about what they're gonna be doing 20 years from now. You gotta think, man, we learned how to work with stone tools, basically, right? We mastered these stone tools, right? So no matter what technology come out and whatever they got going on,
It's the same process.
still not gonna
Be able to do it.
because we know how to do it from scratch. We can make them pancakes from scratch. This ain't no microwave.
Yeah, we don't need no air fryer, no nothing.
Either.
We still, they doing it out the can.
Yeah.
We getting right there on the stove and making it all from
Still
scratch.
going to the field and picking it out the garden. Yeah, nah, no.
That's all they gonna be able to do.
Never, bro.
You can't mimic that shit with
Listen. So watch this. I'm gonna give you an example. Now, I didn't touch a camera for what, about 6 years?
Right at 5.
Right at 5. Didn't touch it. Wouldn't pick it up. Wouldn't look at it.
Everybody got a camera now.
Everybody got a camera.
Mimicking what, trying to mimic what you did.
So when I came back, I started looking and I say, man, I know these dudes ain't making these effects from scratch. It's impossible. And I sat and I watched and I watched and I watched and I watched. And I forget who it was. Somebody called me and they was like, hey, Dave, you need to go do this. Woo, 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 woo. And they got a shortcut that they paying $20 a month for. You get what I'm
On the technology.
Yeah.
Something that we sat down and had to really, it's like when you do a still shot.
Yeah.
And it's almost like animation. When you see them flip the pad and you can see it run. They don't have to flip the pad. You can just put in, you can push enter and the effect gonna be right there.
And I used to have to make that from scratch. Dog, a lot of the stuff you see me do, it used to take me days to come up with that little bitty thing. Yeah. Days of sitting in front of the computer for hours, like 12 and 13 and 15. Remember I used to stay upstairs all night?
All night.
They'll come into the studio, I'm still up.
So I had built a studio. The thing was, we had got tired of trying to go over here to work and try to get this person work. So I say, you know what, bro, we what we finna do?
Yeah.
Man, I got a whole theater room and a whole middle room. I'm finna bring Prospect Park, so we ain't gotta go to no club. We finna put a full bar up here. We finna put the game, everything we wanna see, we don't have to leave.
Yeah, we did.
We built a $70,000 studio in this house. Mm-hmm. And sat in that son of a bitch and made 4 super bad motherfuckers just out of nothing. We shot videos where you would think we did locations. We went from the bathroom to the closet to that corner to that corner to that corner, and we made that shit look like we in damn near China. That was on 30 Days, 30 Days 1. That's when we did all of the funeral stuff.
Yeah.
Then we did while you was down, we did the Lorraine Motel.
Yeah.
And I think that's my greatest body of work I think I ever did.
We will continue this conversation because
Yeah.
there's so much information.
Yeah, for sure.
We can do it in 1 hour.
Wow.
We're close to 2
2
hours.
hours.
So I want to give the opportunity for maybe one more question, and then I'll invite y'all upstairs so that they can kind of just let you listen a little bit, maybe look at some of the visuals, and we can just continue the conversation that way. So does anyone have that? Okay. I'm sorry, maybe 2 more. I'll give it because she was doing it, and then you, and then we'll go upstairs.
Thank you. So my question, well, really is with you all being pioneers like you are, and you talked about the way the generation is now, what advice would you give to a youngster or a young man, young lady, because you know they're on both sides now.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to them to be authentic in what they do and not buy in so much to the ease of technology? Because it's really easy to buy into the ease as opposed to getting it authentically from people who can teach it authentically. So what advice would you have for them?
You want me to see it?
The only thing, the best advice I can give is don't quit. Because all of that not being authentic is gonna fall to the wayside. Because what's gonna work, and what's not gonna work, not gonna work. And by process of elimination, you're gonna end up where you need to be. You know? So it's that do they have a heart do they have a heart to stick with it when it's not when it's a hurricane outside? Like you gotta be able to do it when it's not supposed to be.
Under all circumstances.
Yeah,
like failing come with the process. In order to even be successful, you gotta fail.
You ever heard starving artists?
No,
That is a real word.
that is a real word.
Yeah, every other, I know every artist in here can feel that. That is like a really real. That's not just he wasn't making money from his art. No, they were really starving probably.
Yeah, but
And they still had to put work out at the highest level.
Yeah.
Like that is just that
Let's
right
get
there
this
is
one question in right here.
So you guys kind of already alluded to this. You talked about when you create art, you have to have a level of chaos going on around you. You talked about having to have a level of insanity when you look at yourself in the mirror. So you already alluded to what I'm about to ask you, but from a characteristic standpoint, what can you paint visually, because y'all are both artists, for us as an audience of what that process really looks like when you talk about the insanity level, when you talk about the chaos, when you talk about the creativity of being in a room for 15, 16 hours straight, no breaks. Paint a picture for us of what that looks like so that when you're talking about somebody who has dreams and goals and wants to aspire to be something where you don't see a pathway, but you have a vision, what level of insanity does it take, and what does that look like from an audio standpoint? Help communicate that to us.
able to cut the world off, like thoroughly. Like
no distraction.
Like I'm talking about cut it all off. If you can cut it all off, I'm talking about for days. That's the level of it. People can't do that.
I'm gonna give it an even better example. So this like 03, this like 02, 03, and I'm in Atlanta, and I'm in the studio with Jeezy. A lot of people that know, they know I write for a bunch of people. So I'm in there, and we trying to create. So everybody in the studio, this is a dope one. Everybody it's probably 15, 20 niggas in the studio, right? And you in there trying to rap, and you trying to think, and the music going. 5 niggas smoking, passing weed, 2 other niggas on the phone talking to some females. Nigga Jesus say, hey man, everybody get the fuck out the studio right now. Get the fuck out. I can't even hear myself think. You know what I mean? No phones, you completely disconnect. Because the thing about the thought process, of having to understand that's the first time ever. Cause see, normally we can be in a room just like this and everything going on, and me and him will be in a whole nother dimension, and everybody be like, what the fuck is y'all doing?
But
We over here thinking, but what Jeezy implemented to me, you can't even create. If you got all them distractions, you can't make a masterpiece like that. Because you so distracted, you on the phone, because it'll be people call me and I'll be in the studio, damn, you ain't picking up the phone. I'm not giving a fuck about that phone right now. I'm sitting up here trying to come up with some shit, and you in the fucking way. I can't even function. So that's why we made our space a sanctuary. We don't give a damn what's on TV. We don't give a damn who we talked to earlier. Everybody that we need to talk to and that we need to communicate, they know where the fuck we at.
So in other words, what you're saying is like the chaos is what's outside the studio, and you're kind of like in the eye of the storm.
We can be in the eye of the storm and still create.
So I'm gonna give you a better situation. We'll go into out of town. We'll be out of town. He do a show, right? And he might get a feature after the show. So we end up going to an unknown spot with unknown people, dealing with who knows what, trying to do a business transaction at 2 a.m. And he gotta get this out before we leave so that we can get this money and move around. So the chaos there, it's a lot of unknowns. You get what I'm saying? So we dealing with being uncomfortable, not in our sanctuary, and he's still able to concentrate like a
At the highest
like
level.
he going in to do heart surgery on you. He's still able to do that, and we're still able to kind of stay on point, to kind of stay safe, still keep out. We got a little rule book we go by when we out of town that where we bounce off each other to kind of keep each other safe. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of chaos going on in that moment, but he still got to perform.
I still got to perform at the highest level. Yeah. And it's like my mind's so programmed to do it because being time constricted, being wherever we at, I don't give a damn what's going on. All that can be going on, and I'm still like a surgeon doing what I need to do, and I'm quick with it because of the time. That's the chaotic part of it. I can make what it take a nigga 2, 3, 4 hours to do. I can write a rap in seconds, 5 minutes if I got to, because we got 5-second rule. If the motherfucker not jamming, I'm not doing it. But even if it ain't jamming, that's what you want, I can still give you the same. I can paint a Picasso no matter if I'm distracted or if it's quiet. Sometimes when shit too quiet, we can't make shit. So we go somewhere where it's chaos and we come up with shit.
We done been in some uncomfortable places too, man. Like, so, and I'll look back and be like,
I'm gonna tell him this just 2 seconds. This ain't even gonna take 60 seconds. Okay. So I had 4 shows in 4 different parts of Texas.
Yeah.
I probably made 60 bands in probably
4 days.
In 4 days.
We was on from 6.
This not even having to do with my shows. I did this off features. So when we had Waco. It was Waco, Austin, Corpus, and Texarkana. In 48 hours though, Jack.
Yeah, we was moving.
That's
in 48, probably 72. And I did probably 9 features. And after I get off the stage, we went straight to the studio. We wouldn't be in the studio 20 minutes, probably 30. And to leave, drive 4 more hours. I got a feature before that.
I'm talking about
not only me rapping now, he visually recording this shit, and while we on the road, editing it.
And then I might have to shoot the video right there.
Right then and there.
So after they record the song, we go right outside, I record the video, and then I got to turn the video in the next day. Like, mind you, I got like 8 hours to come up with how all this is supposed to go.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So chaotic and then chaos.
I think this is going to be a really instructional thing for all artists. Like, we mostly deal with visual artists, and you kind of walk that line between sort of performance artists creating video work, and then here as a visual artist presenting that work. But for the visual artists, both in this audience and when we air this video, I feel like this is very instructional because people only see the tip of the iceberg literally, and they don't see all the work and the dedication that it takes to get to this point.
And we painters.
And your painters.
Yes. And we painters.
So I want to leave it there. Thank you both for this engaging conversation, and thank you to the audience for your, taking time on this good Saturday afternoon to come be with us here. We do a lot of programming, and I want to invite
I didn't
you
know you
to
won.
come back to the museum. We do 5 exhibitions a year, and the best way to be up to date is to follow us on Instagram. So if you'd be kind enough, it would do us a big honor if you would follow us on Instagram and then keep up with all our programming. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Great job.
Yeah.